Alright, Budget Magic time. Today we are playing. Alright, Budget Magic. We are playing some Mono White Angels in Standard. I think this deck is pretty sweet. Main deck Tragic Arrogance. Doesn't get any better than that. Loam Dryad for our opponent. And, alright, Hallowed Moonlight actually isn't the worst here. It cycles, and we might be able to get some value from it. Oh, is this like green? Alright, this is like green-black Aristocrats. Opponent gets in a 4-1. Well, planes go. So Battlefield Forge is just to make colorless mana. It is not to play red spells. Just so that's clear, we are mono-white. Catacomb Sifter. Alright, let's, Hallowed Moonlight. Alright, 3-bit Inspector is fine. Our opponent does not get the token. And our opponent gets in a 4-2. Well, Plains, 3-bit Inspector. Get a clue. Pass the turn. So I think we're set up for Chump into Archangel of Ties, into Tragic Arrogance, into we win. Ideally. Actually, I don't even know if we chump here. Alright, we just block Loam Dryad. And take the 2. Tap land. Alright, let's crack our clue. Ooh, Displacer. Oh, Plains. And Archangel of Tithes. Yeah, let's just pass. I don't think we need to attack yet. So our opponent's got to pay 1 to attack, since Archangel is untapped. And then if it's attacking, they got to pay 1 to block for each creature. Uh-oh. Mismatched pacifisms. I have to fix that. I always say that. I have matching lands, though. Okay. Ooh, a Myriad Shepherd, too. The angels are flowing. Well, Plains. What's the plan here? Let's just Eldrazi Displacer. And pass the turn. I think we'd rather leave Archangel back and make our opponent pay if they want to attack. Now we can start blinking 3-bit Inspector. That's basically our card advantage in this deck, is blinking 3-bit Inspector to get clues. Opponent passes. We get a Plains. We play the Plains. And let's just pass the turn. Start drawing some cards with our 3-bit Inspector and Displacer. I guess we're also protecting our Angel. Alright, probably Den Protector, I would assume. I guess we could flip the Den Protector. Now let's, blink 3-bit Inspector. Ooh, it's Slumgar's Assassin. So it gets to kill Displacer or 3-bit Inspector. Going to kill the Displacer. That's fine. We blink 3-bit Inspector. Get a clue. Sack the clue, draw a card. Linvala the Preserver. Well, I guess we just do that. So let's... we get full value, right? We have creatures, yeah. Alright, Mage Ring Network. Linvala. Angel number 2. Gains us 5 life, gets us another flyer. And now we just go on the beatdown plan. We actually can get in with 3-bit Inspector too, since they can't pay to block. Oh, so many of the top decks in Standard are so ground focused right now that going over the top with Angels seems like a good plan. And plus, Tragic Arrogance is so good against some decks. Opponent is attempting to block. Oh, yeah. Alright. Forgot that they can generate mana with Loam Dryad. Doesn't especially matter. We can get it back. Next land we draw with a Myriad Shepherd. Get another clue token. Elvish Visionary draws our opponent a card. Swamp. So our opponent going to go attacking to their doom. What is this? Creatures with power greater than. Alright, so they can get in with Slumgar Assassin if they want. We can always pacify that if we want to. So our opponent gets in a 4-3. I don't even know if we want a Tragic Arrogance now. We're so... I feel like we're so far ahead. We get to hit for so much in the air. Alright. Well, Amiria Shepherd activated. Let's get in with all of our flyers. Put our opponent... Oh, so good. Well, we got all our angels this game. So, Amiria Shepherd, Plains, get back, Eldrazi Displacer, I guess. We'll return that to the battlefield. Pass the turn. Our opponent needs a Wrath or an Elvish Visionary. Good plan B. Well, so far so good for the Angels. Elvish Visionary again. I don't even know. Like, Collected Company doesn't do it. I guess they're hoping for a sack outlet to gain a bunch of life. They might have to just suicide, but even that doesn't do anything. We have so much, an incredible amount of flying power. Okay, they hit us for 3. I guess their out is like Collected Company into sack outlet and second Zulaport Cutthroat. Fleshbag Marauder is not what we were worried about. I think we just sack Displacer. And I don't think there's a 1-mana card, or 2-mana card, counting Loam Dryad, that gets them out of this. They get Scry. They drain for 1 with Cutthroat. They didn't even need to Tragic Arrogance. And another Loam Dryad. Yep. Out of cards. We untap. Swing with the Crew. And that does it. Sweet. Well, we had some angels. Against this deck, what do we want against this deck? Let's go down a Pacifism for a Stasis Snare. Go up, Descend upon the Sinful for 1 Amiria Shepherd and 1 what? I guess we can go down Hedron Archive. Try it like that. Oh, alright. Well, this is a mulligan. This is slightly better. We get to scry Pacifism to the bottom. Swamp for our opponent. And passes. Plains go. Forest for our opponent. And Elvish Visionary. Plains go. Amiria Shepherd's a little ways off. Would be kinda nice to find Catacomb Sifter. Alright. Well, that's Hallowed Moonlight. Might as well cycle it. Alright, Majoring Network gets us some mana at least. Opponent gets in 4-1. Plains. Alright, let's just pacify Catacomb Sifter, play a Plains, pass the turn. Does our opponent have Collected Company? If they do, they'll probably play it right now while we're tapped out. Or they probably should play it right now while we're tapped out at least. Pitiless Horde. Alright. Dashing in for some damage. Now puts us down to 13. Bounces back to our opponent's hand. Ooh. Alright. Plains. And Archangel of Tithes. Makes it a little harder for our opponent to just Pitiless Horde us to death. Because they gotta pay you to attack. Unless they can just kill it. Foul Orchard. So there's no sense in them dashing a Pitiless Horde. Alright, Fleshbag Marauder works. We could use an Angel. Or we risk dying to Pitiless Horde. Linvala would be a good one. Not for this turn, but for next turn. But we need something we can play here, not a land. Well, Hedron Crawler, Mage Ring Network, pass the turn. That isn't exactly what we were hoping for. Because we're going to take a ton of damage from Pitiless Horde. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, down to 2. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can't play and use Emiria Shepherd next turn. Which might mean we have to chump. And we take 5. Yep, there's Dash Pitiless Horde. Pitiless Horde is a problem. We don't have that much instant speed removal. So we might have to change up our deck and bring in Emulating Glare. Yeah, I think we gotta chump and hope we draw like a Linvala or something. So we're down to 7. Pity Horde bounces back. We get a storage counter. So Linvala is the nuts here. That's the card that likely wins us the game. Descend Upon the Sinful would also be very good since we have Delirium. I'll play the Plains. How do we get out of this? Well, I guess our only real play is Quarantine Field X2. Get rid of 2 of our opponent's creatures. And hopefully this gives us a redraw for Linvala. Because we're going to go to 1 here from this Pitiless Horde. Yeah, I was not expecting Pitiless Horde. Maybe this deck isn't even playing Collected Company? So we go to 1, and now I think we're pretty much Linvala or bust. Descend Upon the Sinful might do it, but that's not guaranteed anymore. Linvala is very likely to do it. Another Visionary. So 2 in 47. Yeah, that does it. Alright. Well, we want to bring in some Pitiless Horde removal, which is pretty simple. We go down Pacifisms and bring in Emulating Glares and just run it like that. Otherwise, I think this setup's fine. This keeps us from just getting beaten down like we did that game. Alright, we get to play first. And, a lot of good things, but 1 land. Alright, this is a little better. We'll keep. We are definitely scrying to find lands. So Plains, Thraben Inspector, pass the turn. Thraben Inspector is also good fodder for Fleshbag Marauder. Forest for our opponent. And Loam Dryad. And there's a Plains. So let's just pass the turn. Double Archangel of Ties is pretty nice. Assuming we just get 1 more mana. Duskwatch Recruiter. That's not too scary in this scenario. So let's crack our clue. Get a Plains. Ooh, and a Linvala. Well, Eldrazi Displacer. Pass the turn. Now colorless mana would also be nice for our blinking our Inspector, protecting our Archangels. Think our deck wins a late game though, and this hand seems pretty set up to get to the late game, depending on how we draw. Evolving Wilds for our opponent. And Catacomb Sifter. Okay. Gets a token. Well, Archangel of Ties, number 1. And do we want to attack? Not really. I don't really want to trade with Catacomb Sifter here. So let's just pass. Opponent cracks Evolving Wilds. Gets a Swamp. Forest for our opponent. They're down to 4 cards. And Pitiless Horde. Sure. They go attacking. I think we're going to take one hit from Pitiless Horde and see what we draw. So down to 15. It also puts us down enough life that Linvala will gain it back. Pitiless Horde back to our opponent's hand. Land, please? Alright. So, Archangel of Ties, number 2. Plains, and Thraben Inspector, number 2. And now we might as well get in for 3 in the air, I think. Put our opponent down to 17. Now we're about a colorless land away from this hand being absurd. Tap land. And dashes a Pitiless Horde. That's fine. We're going to block with a Thraben Inspector. So yeah, let's just chump. And Pitiless Horde back to our opponent's hand. We draw Thraben Inspector. Well, let's crack a clue. See what we hit. Tragic Arrogance. Thraben Inspector. Get a clue. Crack a clue. Land? Emulating Glare. And then hit our opponent for 9. They're not going to be able to block thanks to double Archangel. Opponent's down to 8, which means potentially lethal next turn with double Archangel. Either that or they're going to have to leave up some mana for blocking purposes. Oh, man. Main phase Activate Duskwatch is usually desperation, especially when you're this far behind. Gets a Zulaport Cutthroat. Does that keep our opponent alive? Only halfway. Plays Cutthroat. Okay. What is their plan? How do they block and stay alive? So they get a Scry with Catacomb Sifter. Drain for 1. And another Cutthroat. Sure. I don't think our opponent's thinking this through. Because they're putting themselves in a position where they can't block anything because of double Archangel. So yeah, you're putting... I mean, maybe they're just dead and they're like, might as well play all our stuff. But they've already put themselves in a position where all of our stuff is unblockable. So, pretty sure that's going to get the job done. Opponent passes. We draw Majoring Network. So, yeah, I mean, let's swing for lethal. Yeah, I don't think they took into account double Archangel of Ties. But, and that does it. Opponent scoops it up. Sweet. Well, so far so good for Mono White Angels.